Hello everyone, Johnny Minder here, and today we are continuing to learn Japanese with Pokémon Snap. Last time we finished Ox intro. We checked out more writings in Ox lab, also the one for the first stage, but we didn't have the time to actually start it, and so first course, to be precise. So today we're starting immediately with that, also considering the inevitable writings we'll have to check since it will be our first course. And yeah, without further ado, let's start. And yeah, we won't check more options today because of that. We'll do that another time. So we'll choose Suzuki Kara instead from the continuation. Yeah, this is we have already seen. We have practically seen almost all the writings around here. So yeah, this time we choose Kosu ni iku. Beachy, the beach from English. And yeah, we have already checked also it's what Oak says about it. And yeah, we've also seen these. But this time we'll actually say let's go. And by the way, our protagonist Toru said Yosh. Yeah, luckily it stops here, and we'll quickly check also that soon enough. But yeah, first and foremost, when we chose the option and entered the stage on the map screen, Toru, that's the name of our protagonist in Japanese, said Yosh. So Yoshi, and then of course they at the end barely heard if at all because of the previous unvoiced consonant. Yeah, Yosh is actually simply in this case the classical form of the E adjective yoi, more often than not when not conjugated pronounced as E in contemporary Japanese, and it has the same meaning, good, right, okay, but in usage in contemporary Japanese simply as an exclamation. But yeah, the shi, yo, shi, that she is actually simply the classical form of E adjectives, so easy enough. Yeah, now we actually have this instead, this writing, now that we have entered the stage, and we have this tutorial. We have the icon for the Z button, and it says Zetto toriga de camera o kamaete. First and foremost, we have Zeddo, or also Zetto, which is Z in from English. Simply, the English pronunciation should be simply accented like that. As usual, we'll check. Okay, for the Zeddo, the online dictionary plus plugin combo doesn't find it. But for Zetto, yeah, it's on the first syllable as expected. So yeah, most likely also for the other variant. After that we have Toriga, of course simply trigger from English. We check its accent as usual. In this case, interestingly enough, it's actually not exactly the same as English, because it's actually on the first syllable, so on the Toriga. Toriga. So be careful about that. But yeah, simply the Z, Z if you pronounce it like that, but of course in Japanese it's actually from Z, as we have just seen. Trigger. So yeah, because it's technically a trigger. Then we have the particle de with, so the means. Then we have camera. We have already seen it, of course. Camera from English, and accented also on ka as expected, the first syllable. Then we have the object particle o, written as wo and pronounced as such in careful speech and also singing. Last but not least, we have the verb kamaete from kamaeru, which means to set up. Usually in that sense, by the way, is accented, and I've just confirmed it also with the dictionary. To set up a house, a store, and so on, to build, to establish. Also in the sense to run, to maintain. But in our case, it's the more generic to have at the ready. For example, a gun, but of course in our case, as in to hold in preparation, for example, a camera, also to prepare in advance a meal. So yeah, in actually the original meaning could most likely is the other entry here, to adopt a posture, to assume a stance, to stand ready, to be poised for. So yeah, in this assuming a stance or stand ready, and then we have of course all the other meanings we have already seen. Yeah, in the case of a camera, of course, hold in preparation. It's a ru verb, it's a verb, so we can drop the ru and add te to make the te form. In this case, it could simply be do that and, because as we'll see soon enough, there are more instructions. Or if it actually ended here, it could be the abbreviation of te kudasai. As usual, as already mentioned, kudasai from kudasaru, one of the verbs of giving, an honorific one. Then we make the continuative form. It's one of those honorific verbs which become drop the ru and add e, or better, it would most likely became re and then the r dropped, so only remained. To then add masse, even though nowadays it isn't added, so to make the imperative form in polite speech. And so yeah, te kudasai, polite, imperative polite, simply. And the te form at the end of sentences usually is an abbreviation for that. But yeah, let's do that. And yeah, with that we get this other instruction. So yeah, in this case I'd say the te form before, you can see here, is simply do that and e button D. Funny enough, again written as both. We have both the icon and then an E. E button D, shatta or kiro. First and foremost, we have of course E button. Button, as usual, is a button. Actually from Portuguese and an accented, and that's why it's slightly different. Portuguese botão. Then we have de, again, in this case the particle which means with, the means with the A button. Then we have shatta, which is shutter, of course, from English, as in camera shutter. In other contexts, also shutter in general for a door window. Yeah, in this case, of course, of the camera. And as expected, is accent on the first syllable, just like in English, shatta. Notice the doubling of the consonant. In the same way, it's written as such in English, but of course not pronounced because English doesn't have double consonants. And then of course we have the sound, which isn't in Japanese, and so becomes long A instead, the closest one, and also the lengthening of the vowel, similar to to English dialects, English, the ones that don't have the R sounds, and yeah, they usually have long vowels instead. A. So yeah, then we have of course the opposite particle O. And last but not least, we have kiro, which should be simply the verb kiru. In this case, the kiru, and we can see it also because of its conjugation, other than context, not the one which means to wear, which I've even studied the kanji in a previous series, as that it is an ru verb, it's a verb. This one is a godan verb, u verb, godan verb, and we can see it because then we make the evolutional form by changing the u into o, u, so long o. The one which means to cut. To cut is the fundamental meaning. In this case, simply, we have seen that it actually has several. By the way, I didn't mention that kiru, the one to wear, is unaccented. This one is accented instead, so it, the accent again also helps when it's in the dictionary form. Several extended meanings. In this case, it's that you open the shutter, and then of course simply that way take the picture. So yeah, in this case, let's say the meaning of kiru, which is to open something sealed, by extension from cutting, of course. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's the evolutional form, so again, simply with its most common meaning, let's. So let's open the shutter with the A button, and we'll do that. And we took a picture of a Pidgey Poppo, as we have barely seen. We check actually the Japanese names of the Pokemon we photograph at the end of the stage. We have the same instruction again. And last but not least, oops. Actually, oh. Let's see if I can actually. Sorry, I have to. Yeah, unfortunately, I made a mistake. Let's see if I can switch. Actually, let's choose the this option. We'll check the options again in a second, but yeah, we'll do that to take a picture this time. Funny enough, but in another sense. Okay. Oops, not this one. This one. Okay. And then we'll start that again, but yeah, let's quickly check what that said. I'll delete the unnecessary ones later, since unfortunately it's difficult to do with the N64 controller. But yeah, simply a simple sentence. Pokémon o taksan totte ne. First and foremost, we have, of course, Pokémon. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have taksan. I'm not sure we have seen it ever before, or at least not that often, if we have. Taksan is an interesting word because technically it's a noun or also an adjective, which means should be accented on the last syllable, so actually on the sa, because the accent can stay on the on its own. It stays on the syllable in general, and of course on the part with the vowel, and not lengthening the consonant on its own, doubling of the following consonant, and so on. But yeah, it's accented on the sa, taksan. I'll quickly check the physical dictionary. Got the physical dictionary just to be sure that there aren't alternative pronunciations depending on its usage, like ipai. But yeah, while I search it, I'll mention that it means a lot, lots, plenty, many, a large number, much, and so on. And then by extension also in the sense of enough, sufficient, or enough as in too many, too much. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is a lot, as in plenty, many, much. Let's see, taku-san. And good thing I did, because actually it's when used as a noun or an adjective, it's accented that way. By the way, notice also the between of ku being in between unvoiced consonants, and so barely heard if at all. But yeah, when used, and this is the one really common usage of this word, like in our case, as an adverb, and on its own, in this case, we don't have to add ni, like we will do for strictly, exclusively na adjectives. It's actually unaccented. So yeah, similar, even though not exactly the same as what I mentioned for ipai. But yeah, similar, since also in that case the adverb was unaccented actually. So yeah, taksan, an adverb, so adding some information to the following verb, which is totte, again from toru, to take, but in this case most certainly the one specific to take photos, pictures. Then it's a uverb, Godan verb. So to make that a form, like in this case, we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, and so it becomes double consonant te. Simply again, because most likely it became the continuative form ri, and then simply the e dropped. In this case, as for the regular Godan verbs in ru, unlike the honorific ones like kudasai, to, r, te, difficult to pronounce, it became the doubling of the following consonants simply. So we have this te form. In this case, definitely, as it's actually the end of this sentence, an abbreviation for te kudasai, so please take a lot of Pokemon, as in take the pictures of a lot of Pokemon. And last but not least, we have the final sentence particle ne, and so the usual, in this case, please, will you, to make an informal request. It's one of the several usages of ne. The most common one is right, isn't it, request, but for confirmation or agreement. And yeah, with that we have seen this, so we can go back to the game itself. First and foremost, we'll actually check this pause menu, since I've already used, and I use it again, so that we can actually take the picture of this doduo. First and foremost, we have gemu o tsuzukeru. Of course, gemu, game, accented, we've already seen it before. O, the object particle, and then tsuzukeru, to continue, and it's unaccented, and it's the transitive form of the verb tsuzuku, the intransitive one. As we can see also here, we have an object, and so yeah, the transitive one. To continue, and so yeah, simply to continue the game. Then we have kosu kara deru. Kosu, again, course from English. Kara, from. By the way, course, accent on the first syllable. Of course, just like in English, kara, from. And last but not least, the verb teru, which means to exit, to leave, to go out. Other similar meanings, but the fundamental one, to leave, to exit. And so, leave, exit from the course. And last but not least, the option I actually picked before, which says yari naosu. It's a compound verb from yaru, a colloquial form of the verb to do, so colloquial form of suru. It's a U verb, godan verb, so we can change the U into I to make the continuative form, in this case to attach then the second verb part of the compound. Verb which is naosu, should be accent, yes it is. Its fundamental meaning is to repair, to mend, to fix, to correct, for example a mistake, and so on. But when used as a suffix, it means to do over again, to redo the action of the verb, the first verb part of the compound. But of course, in our case, it's yaru, which means to do, and so yari naosu, luckily accented just like naosu, so no worries there. It simply means to do over again, to redo. Of course, in the then to start over and so on, but yeah, literally to do over again, to redo. So the meanings of naosu when used as a suffix, in this case, without adding further information of another verb, we have this compound. And yeah, so we'll choose that to actually start this course again and finally actually play it without interruptions, hopefully. Well, I've seen one, but we'll quickly check it, and it should be right at the start. Try to get the picture again. Okay, we got it. Actually, I'm not getting it again because I actually moved the control stick on my own, but it actually simply said that you can move the control stick, so yeah. You can check it yourself in the footage before. Honestly, doesn't particularly matter. Let's take our pictures of our Pokemon here. Notice the different voice for Meowth. Ooh, really nice. Lapras so close. Take those. Oops, I'm actually running out of pictures. As you can see on the top right corner, you have the amount of pictures you can take, and yeah, it's running out. We have 10 left. Yeah, be careful. Just take a couple of them for this extra stuff. Yeah, we got at least a decent TV1, I should say. Ooh, but we want a really close Lapras. We take that, even though unfortunately the Kangaskhan is showing us their back. Okay. We'll actually avoid taking the very last one to show what happens when we don't take all the pictures, and yeah, we get close to the gate and we're sent back to the lab, as it said in English. Yeah, we have these. Shashin wa zenbu de, how many we have taken, mai toretazo. Okay, I actually didn't have to take it because we can then simply not press the button. Yeah, as I mentioned, we have 写真, again photo. It's the Chinese compound, which means photo. And being a Chinese compound is unaccented, as we have seen before, luckily. Then we have the topic particle wa, written as ha. So as for the photos, or as photos, then we have zenbu, which is another Chinese compound, which means all. It's technically a noun. All, entire, whole, all together. Should be actually accented on the first syllable. I think yes, it is. A noun, an adjective which takes the no particle, the possessive particle, instead of na, can also be used as an adverb, so on its own without adding anything, even though in this case we actually have something. We have the. I'd say it could technically be a particle, but could also be seen as the form of the copula, and honestly it would make sense either way, but it doesn't particularly matter because the result is always the same in practice, even if you consider it being all together or in. Honestly, with the copula it makes more sense, also in translation. But yeah, simply to say in total. Then we have the number, of course. In our case, we got, we've taken them all except for one, so we have 59. Goju Q in Japanese. As usual, we have, well, first and foremost, we have, keep in mind, Ju, which means 10. Before it, we have Go, 5, and so 5 multiplied by 10, 50. 5 tens. And then we have the Q after it, and so plus 9, or 5 tens and 9. And so yeah, Goju Q. And then we have actually a counter, as you might have guessed, Mai. Quite an important counter in general, but even more so for this game, because Mai is used for thin, flat objects in general, sheets of paper, plates, also says here, yeah, coins. It technically can be used also for counters for other things, but in this case its fundamental meaning, which is that one, and of course thin flat objects like sheets of paper, but also photographs. And so yeah, it's used for photographs in this case. And then after that we have, and by the way, I can actually, and I check in the other dictionary, it's accent with the counter. Yeah, I'm checking because while we have seen, first and foremost, it's quite an important counter in general, and even more so for this game, as I mentioned. And while there is a tendency for these counters, there are exceptions, as we have seen before with the Kai. Kai, which was accented on the Ka for most numbers, for some actually before it. Yeah, I'll actually find it now. I think it's... I think it's actually before here. Yeah, it's here. The tendency actually is to be accented before the counter. Although maybe actually there are more with the accent on the first syllable of the counter. So one or the other. There are some completely unaccented ones, which honestly are the easiest ones, once you know about them. But yeah, let's check my, as soon as I find it, here. My... Yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is one of those accented immediately before the counter itself. So, ichi mai, 1, ni mai, 2, san mai, of course, again, it's the syllable that matters, so the it can stay on the so the on its own, and so on the sa in san, so and so on. I see an exception here that it's unaccented for go, mai. I've actually seen it in other cases, like for ban, but we'll see that again when the time comes. I'm checking all the other ones. Yeah, no, the other ones are all regularly, so be careful only for 5. But yeah, in our case, since we technically have the 9 at the end before the counter itself, it should be accented like for 9, Q mai, and so on the Q, of course on the Q, and not the long vowel of Q. So Q mai, goju Q mai. Last but not least, we have toreta, again from toru, to take, in this case specifically of pictures. It's a u verb, godan verb, so we can change the u into e, add ru, we can see it here because of further conjugation to make the potential form. The potential form is so to re ru, accent on the second to last syllable also. It's a ru verb, it's dan verb, the potential form of verbs. And so we can simply drop the ru and add ta to make the ta form, and so the past form of the verb in plain speech. And last but not least, we have again zo, a male language term or language, final sentence particle, adds force or indicates command. I'd say also simply emphasis, as we have seen. But yeah, can continue. First and foremost, we have these options. The one we'll use now, which is Hakase Maaku, as we can see on the top left corner, with an icon of Professor Oak. And it's literally the professor mark, professor's mark, but the possessive is implied. Hakase means professor. It's actually used as a suffix. So to say Professor Oki in Japanese, we would say Okido Hakase. I actually check in one of the physical dictionaries its accent when used as a suffix. But it's actually colloquial. On its own, the meaning would be expert, learned person, and this would be accented on the first syllable on the ha, hakase. Can be used, as I mentioned, as a suffix for doctor, PhD, doctor, again, of course also the abbreviation. In our case, for a professor, the sense of a researcher like Professor Ock. I'll check if I can find the accent when used as a suffix here. But yeah, as it says here, it's technically colloquial because we would use usually for such a person in a formal setting actually the suffix sensei. Sensei accented on the second se, so on the technically last syllable, because of course the e in this case it's part of the either a diphthong for those still pronouncing it as a as a. Most now pronounce it as a long e, and so of course can stay on the long vowel. So the se, sensei, used as a noun on its own for teacher, instructor, master, or as a suffix, a title or form of address for teacher, master, also doctor, lawyer, and so on. So actually several professions of that kind. And yeah, that's the appropriate one technically, even though it's not specific. Okay, let's see if I can find it here. Hakase. Okay, don't seem to find it there. I'll actually check also sensei, and then I'll check also in the part of the dictionary dedicated to suffixes, but otherwise, simply I'd say it's not accented if the noun before it, the name of the person, or surname even more often, is unaccented. When it's unaccented, then we could technically use the accent of the title itself. Luckily, even more so likely in the case of Hakase, since it's accent on the first syllable. But I think also for sensei. Se. Let's see quickly. Yeah, and there it is. And yeah, it simply says in this case on its own sensei, as I mentioned. When used as a suffix, either as sensei, same, or unaccented, because actually the accent has already fallen on the name itself. For example, here we have the examples here for Tanaka, which is unaccented, a very common Japanese surname. It's accented then Tanaka Sensei. While for Sato, which is accented on sa, on the first syllable, then it's simply Sato sensei. So, first on the sa it's high, everything else is low. But yeah, apart from the for Tanaka, otherwise we have the first syllable low because of the rule first low, second high, or the other way around. But then it stays high until included the se of sensei, and then it's low on the i, on the long vowel. Sensei, Tanaka sensei. But yeah, in this case I'd say most likely simply ok. For ok, well, it depends of course on the accent of Okido, which we don't know unfortunately. I'd say most likely just like in English, so simply Okido Hakase. But yeah, in this case we simply have Hakase on its own, so expert technically, but here I'd say simply professor. Then we have Maku, of course from English, Mark. We have seen it last time. Should be accented, or even, unless I'm forgetting it. No, yeah, it's not the word. We've found an unaccented word from English, but it wasn't this one. So yeah, the Professor Mark, and that's why it has the ok icon. And we have the instruction there. Hakase ni on the top right corner. Hakase ni miseru Pokémon no shashi no erabuzo. Again we have Hakase, so professor ni to the professor, because of the following verb, which is miseru. You might have noticed that there's this mi at the start, because it's actually a verb which comes from miru, to see, to watch, to look at. In this case, miseru, which should be also accented, just like miru, luckily enough. Yes, it is. Means to show, to display. Other extended meanings, but yeah, the fundamental one is to show. And it's actually simply an older form, a classical form of the causative. That seru is simply an older form of the causative. And so yeah, to make someone see, to make someone look at, and so yeah, to show. After that we have a noun, Pokemon. So Hakase ni miseru is actually relative clause, refer to Pokemon, as usual, the Pokemon. Then we have the possessive particle no. We have shashin, again as usual, photos. O, the object particle. And last but not least we have erabu, which we have seen before, is the verb which means to choose, to select, to pick out. Yeah, to choose, to select, accented. And last but not least again, so yeah, the translation is simply choose. I'd say in this case could be technically a command, an implied command, because of that so, or simply adding force. It's as in it's or emphasis. It's here that where you choose and so on. But yeah, either way, choose the photos of Pokemon that you will. As a reminder, the present form of the verb in Japanese can also have a future meaning without further specifications, because otherwise we have certain forms in Japanese, but yeah, simple future, which you will show to the professor. And yeah, we'll do that now. And yeah, we have all these. As you can see, it's always the same. It simply changes, of course, the name of the Pokemon, the number in the numeral plus counter, which is in yellow. Otherwise, it's the same. For example, our first one, Poppowa, Rokumai, Tottayo. Poppo is the name of PG in Japanese. We see it. I start mentioning the names of the Pokemon as we see them when we actually choose these pictures, so soon enough. But yeah, for now, as for PG, then we have Rokumai, so 6 photos. 6 plus the counter for, again, thin, flat objects, so okay, like photos. Notice that in this case the accent is Rokumai, so on the ku, on the last syllable of the number 6 in Japanese, so Rokumai. Of course, being mai, it's a Chinese counter, and so we use Chinese numerals. And last but not least, Totta, again, past form of Toru. And last but not least, we have Yo. Yo, the final sentence particle, which means you know. Its usages are several, just like for ne. The most common one is, as mentioned, yeah, kind of like I'd also add you know, even though the dictionary doesn't mention it. Otherwise, an hey, yeah, can indicate emphasis, contempt, request, warning. Also used after a noun to usually a name or a title of a person to call them out. And yeah. So the translation so far is, as for PG, you know, you got, you took 6 pictures. And then we have de mite mi yo. We have the icon of the A button. The with, again, the means, so with the A button. And then we have mite mi yo, funny enough, miru, which I've already mentioned, to see. It's a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru and add te to make the te form. In this case, funny enough, to add another miru. As we have seen in previous series, the te miru form is used to make the meaning, to try doing the action of the verb in te, to have a go at, to give the action of the verb in te a try. Literally, I'd say, look, do the action of that verb and see implied the result, and that's why it gets the meaning to try doing that action. Again, miru is a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru and add yo, u, so long yo, to make the evolutional form. So let's, the translation, let's try to look at, implied them, with the A button. I'd say that we can actually do that after our usual short break, around 5 minutes. so that, after that we'll actually look at the pictures, we'll choose them to present them to Oak, see the other options, the other writings in this screen, and then go have Oak judge them, as you might know if you have played this game before. So we'll do that after the break. Let's go back to here, and see you in around 5 minutes. And we are back. And now we can continue. And we'll actually press E to actually see them. And we have all these now. We can then actually simply move them, move between the ones of these Pokemon. First and foremost, let's check the writings. First, the ones next to the photo itself. We have call. Okay, now we seem to be back. Sorry, but OBS crashed. Luckily, we had just started after the break, so we didn't lose much. I simply repeat, we actually pressed A to try to look at them. And yeah, with that, we get this screen. You can move between all your PG pictures by moving left and right the control stick. But yeah, first and foremost, and then of course choose the one you want to show to Hawk. But yeah, first and foremost, let's check these writings. Starting with those next to the photo itself. Top to bottom, we have Kosu, course again, and of course our course in this case is the beach. Then we have Satsue, which means actually we've seen it means photography or the act of photographing. Also filming and shooting, video recording, so not just for photos actually. But yeah, in our case of course for photos. Is a Chinese compound, so luckily unaccented as per the rule. In this case, it's actually simply the section where we can see, our name, the name of our protagonist. And so, who took the picture? Toru. After that, we have Shuyaku. Which it could technically have more than one meaning, but this one is definitely this. And honestly, it's the most common one. Shuyaku means shu, main. Technically would be also, it's the kanji for Lord, Chief, Master. But yeah, also used as in main thing, principle, like in this case. And then we have Yaku. On its own, accent on the last syllable, even though, and it's a Chinese pronunciation of the character. Actually, this character only has Chinese pronunciations, unlike most. We have seen it before in previous series. It means role, as in both role, as in assignment, responsibility, duty, function, job, service, but also role as in part in a play, film, and so on, character. Also technical position of responsibility, post office, but post/office. But yeah, in our case it's actually role, as in part. And so Shuyaku, luckily unaccented, so Shuyaku, so regular, since it's a Chinese compound. It's leading part, leading actor/actress, leading part. So funny enough, it's simply in this case the leading part of this picture, of these photos. It means the main Pokemon, the one closest to the center, usually, which is Poppo, in our case PG. And yeah, now we'll start to check also these the Japanese names of Pokemon. First and foremost, we have this one, Poppo. By the way, I also use okay. I'll use Bulbapedia since it has such information, but yeah, in this case it's actually simple because Poppo, as you might have guessed by its sound, it's simply an onomatopoeia which can be used as is in Japanese. Let's check its accent. It isn't present here, and I honestly doubt we'll see it also in the physical dictionary, but I'll check it. Several meanings, but in this one is the cuckoo of a pigeon. And yeah, as we'll see, there are several Japanese names of Pokemon, especially I know for sure those of the Gen 1's Pokemon, which are simply onomatopoeias of the sound their respective animals make. But yeah, I'll still check if I can find it. Poppo. Okay, it seems to be, yeah, with Suru or To. To as usual the particle for onomatopoeias, which is used because it's technically a quotation. You quote the onomatopoeia with a cuckoo, would be in our case. Also with the verb suru to make it a verb in the case of onomatopoeias that can be turned into verbs. And yeah, as expected, is actually accented on the first syllable, as usually is the case for onomatopoeia, so Poppo. And yeah, so the same for our PG. Then we have, we'll quickly check also the reading at the bottom, which is common for all the photos, as we'll see. Okido hakase ni miseru no wa kore ni shiyou kana. And then we have the answers, but first let's check this question. First and foremost, we have, of course, Okido hakase, so Professor Oak, ni, again, as in to Professor Oak. We have the verb miseru, again, to show to Professor Oak. Then we have no, in this case, the nominalizer for verbs. So, to make a noun from the verb. Can also be translated as the fact, similar to, and so on, similar to koto, thing as in matter, contrasting with mono, thing as in object. We have that one we have also studied the kanji in a previous series. And then we have the topic particle wa. And so far it becomes as for showing, implied this to, as for what, even better, as for what you will show to Professor Oak, because of what we'll see immediately after, which is first and foremost kore, again one of the kosoado words, ko, close to both the speaker and the listener, so far from both, so far from the speaker, close to the listener, far from both. These words are usually unaccented, do, the interrogative, accent on the do itself on the first syllable. With re, we make the demonstrative pronoun, so this, as the pronoun. We don't this on its own. Then we have ni, again as a particle, but in this case it's into, required by the following verb, which is shiyou, from suru, to do, but in the structure ni suru, in this case with a noun, decide, it means to decide, to choose. Well, even better, to decide. Make it so that it's that. Even better to be closer to the to how it's structured in Japanese. As we have seen, can be also used with verbs. But yeah, in this case we simply have a noun, so choose, decide, this one, when given, when we have options. We have then, suru is unfortunately completely irregular, so we have simply to remember that to make its volitional form, like in this case, we have to change it into si and then add yo, so yo, long yo, shi yo. And so let's, again, the most common meaning, let's make it this one. And then again, as usual, we've already seen before in this very series, kana. Not just ka, which is the regular interrogative particle, on its own enough to make a sentence interrogative, but even we add also the question mark at the end here. With na, it becomes I wonder. Also in the meaning should I, should we, in our case, should we. And so yeah, the translation becomes should we, as for what you show to to Professor Oak, should we make it this one. And yeah, so it's asking if we want to choose this picture to show to Professor Oak, and we have these these answers with the button un kore da, simply un, the colloquial form for yes. We have seen also the regular one, hi. At this point, I also mentioned that there's also another one, which is e. We'll see, but we'll eventually see it for sure. Also accented on the first syllable. But yeah, hi, the fundamental one, e, an alternative one. And also this un, which is the most colloquial one. And then we have kore again, so this, and then the copula in plain speech, da. So yeah, the translation is simply yes, it's this implied this one, as in this one. With B, we have chigau na. First and foremost, we have chigau, I think unaccented, but we'll see, which means to differ, to be different, to be distinct, to be unlike, to vary, to disagree, and also considering that to differ, to be different, by extension becomes also to be wrong, to be incorrect, to be mistaken, and other meanings, but yeah, the fundamental one is to differ. Then we have na, here we can see with a long vowel. And yeah, it's the usual particle we have seen as in well, it could be either as used as an as a wow, express admiration, emotion, emotionality, and so on. Technically could also be, but this is in Kansai dialect, although Kansai dialect, as we'll have partially seen, and we'll see even more so in previous series, can sometimes show in these games to characterize some specific characters, or also simply because it became a use. In Kansai dialect, it would be more similar to right, isn't it, and so on. So usage is typical of ne. In this case, let's say, other than that, wow, it can also be now, well, I tell you, you know, as in when seeking confirmation for emphasis, so similar to yo, but I'd say quite emphatic in this case, even more emphatic. So yeah, in this case, chigau na, it's literally, it's different, as in, that isn't the case, no, a way to say no. Or could also be considering that it's a different one technically also, but yeah. It's most likely simply a negation, a way to make a negation a stronger one. Yeah, let's actually choose our picture. And yeah, we want one where, of course, in our case, since it's the tutorial one, actually the one we took at the very first one, with the Pokemon right in the center, as big as possible. In this case also with an additional one, as we'll see, which also can give you bonus points. And now that we have chosen this one, we can actually see what says here. Poppo wa miseru shashin ga kimatta zo. First and foremost, of course, Poppo, PG. Wa, the topic particle, so as for Poppo. Then we have Miseru to show before a noun, so actually a relative clause, a verb related to that noun, which is shashina in our case, so photo that implied you will show. Then we have the subject particle ga. Last but not least, we have the verb kimatta from kimaru. I think maybe actually unaccented. Yes, unaccented, because I think we have seen its affirmative, its transitive form, kimeru. Kimeru, to decide. This one, kimaru, to be decided, the intransitive form of the verb. Again, transitive in eru, intransitive in aru, is simply, yet again, the one in aru, a classical form of the passive. And yeah, it can be seen also in the meaning here, to be decided. It's a ru verb, godan verb, so we can change, we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta to make that a form, and so the past form in plain speech. And then last but not least, again so. And so as for Poppo, the picture, the photo that you show has been decided. Technically was decided, but in this case, of course, better has been decided. Also because it's in the state of being decided. We have the mark, and as we have seen, when the picture is big, it's literally simply Ox face. Pretty funny. By the way, good thing I opened it again, because we actually have this new writing for it. Poppo wa kore ni kimeta kedo yappari yameyo kana. And then we have the answers. First and foremost, Poppo wa, again as for Poppo, so Poppo plus the topic particle. Kore, again this. Ni into. Required actually simply by the verb, the following verb, which is kimeta. And now we see the transitive form of those verbs, kimeru, to decide. It's a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru to add the ta and make the past form, the ta form, and so the past form of plain speech. Then we have kedo. We've seen it in previous series. It's a conjunction, which means but, however, although. Comes from keredomo, not used usually nowadays. Keredo actually still used, but it's somewhat more. It's more polite. It's politer. Here in the dictionary, it actually says technically it's polite language. Teinego in Japanese. Kedo is the abbreviation, and it's actually the most common form, I'd say. But yeah, it means but. So, as for Poppo, you decided for this, as in this picture, but and then we have the rest, which is first and foremost yappari. I think we have seen in this very series again yappari. I mentioned also it's less emphatic form, and more formal technically, but yeah. Which is yahari, still accented on the ha, pa in this case because of the previous double consonant. So it actually stayed pa as it originally was, unlike the ha. And it means as expected, sure enough, and so on. Yeah, the fundamental meaning as expected. And then we have the verb yameyo from yameru. We have seen it during this series, I think even last episode. Yameru should be unaccented and means to stop an activity. Yes, it's unaccented, by the way. To cease, to discontinue, to end, to quit. By extension, to cancel, to abandon, to give up, and so on. It's a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru to add yo, yo, long yo, so the evolutional form again, so let's. And then, of course, again, kana, should we. So the translation is, as for Poppo, you have decided for this, but after all, as expected, in this case, better after all, which is one of the meanings, the extended meanings of yappari in the end. Should we stop, or better, should we cancel it, the fact that we have decided for this one? And yeah, we have the two answers, yameyo, simply again yes, and then again yameyo. So yes, let's cancel this implied. With B instead we say iya, koreda. First and foremost we have this iya, which means disliking. It's an adjective, not wanting, unwilling to do, reluctant. By extension, unpleasant, disagreeable, or even more intense ones, nasty, horrible, disgusting, and so on. Also used as an exclamation, as a no, quit it, stop. Yeah, in this case it's technically closer to that, as in no. And then we have kore, this, and then the copula, so no, it's this one. And yeah, we'll keep it, we keep this one. We check this one. We now have those for all the writings are the same, except for the leading part, which is do. Dodo is the Japanese name for doduo. And yeah, it's simply, most certainly from dodo, the animal. Technically, it's also an onomatopoeia, dodo, written as this. So it could also be, because according to Bulbapedia, it was simply from dodo. And yeah, technically, do is dodo, written as such. But it could also be the onomatopoeia, an onomatopoeia, do, which has several meanings, including, well, technically with a roaring sound of water or wind, but also the sound of feet stamping on the ground. And honestly, that would make sense for doduo. So honestly, I think it could be a double pun, simply dodo, as in the animal, and also this reference to that. So yeah, we'll choose this one. We'll see which one to choose. This one is they're both slightly further. Let's say we can choose the very first one. Then we have Pikachu. This is honestly the most famous one. You might already know it, but we'll mention it, of course, again. It comes from two onomatopoeias, in this case, Pika Pika, which is with a glitter, with a sparkle. And funny enough, also by extension, brand new, as in shiny and new. And also cleaned off a plate and so on, finished. This the latest one in the final one, cleaned off a plate, finished in children's language according to the dictionary. But yeah, also from technically the cleaned plate, as it becomes glittering, sparkling. Yeah, the fundamental meaning with a glitter, with a sparkle. Of course, in reference to Pikachu's electricity. And last but not least, we have Chu. Actually, simply on Chu on its own is enough. Chu is, well, I also mentioned that it's a colloquial noun for a kiss. Again, also because of the sound a kiss makes. Chu. By the way, Pika Pika, I don't think I mentioned it, actually accented on the second syllables, on the first ka, Pika Pika. So yeah, an exception compared to other onomatopoeias, so be careful. This one, Chu, is accented on the first syllable as usual. But yeah, as a noun, also kiss because of the sound. But in this case, it's simply the Chu, as in an onomatopoeia for the squeak of a mouse. Also with a slurp. Yeah, this one is the squeak of a mouse because, of course, Pikachu is an electric mouse. And yeah, let's see which one. Yeah, we'll show this one. When it comes to Pikachu, as we'll see, we'll definitely take better ones. But yeah, let's show that one for now. Then we have Batafuri, Butterfree. Similar, just like they made it in English. Even though, honestly, it's slightly different. Well, honestly, they really did it quite well in English, because we have, of course, at the end, Fury, which is undoubtedly free, as in English, free. And by the way, luckily accented on the re as expected, Fury. Before that, we have Bata, which, well, as a whole, could be for butterfly. Even though I'm not sure if because there's usually okay, yeah, usually butterfly it has a Chinese word. We want cho, or even more often cho with a doubling, all accented on the first syllable, luckily. But of course, you could technically make it, take it from English, and it would become Batafurai. Honestly, usually used simply as in butterfly, as in the swimming stroke. Accented on the ba, on the first syllable, as expected, as per the rules. But potentially, and I agree with Bulbapedia in this case, could be that Bata also a reference to the onomatopoeia Pata Pata. I think I mentioned it before. because it's actually also the name of paratroopers in Mario games in Mario. As a prefix with a single path, the para beetles, para Buzzy beetles we have seen, I think, during the Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3 series. Yeah, pata pata, accented on the first syllable, so as per the rule, means the flapping of a flag fan, but also the fluttering. And so yeah, the fluttering of a butterfly in our case, of a butterfly. And yeah, we have so a lot of meanings in this noun, in this name. Let's try to find a decent one. Slightly down, but I think yeah, those would be nice considering we have two, but they are too far away. I think I'll try going for this one. By the way, I think I'll actually remove it temporarily. Yeah, as you can barely see, it says when you choose it, Kore ni kimeta. So yeah, simply I've chosen this one, I've decided for this one. Then we have Lapras, Rapurasu, which simply comes from la plus, from French, la, the article, plus which means well, in this case it's simply as in seat, place in the sense of seat. According to Bulbapedia from Pierre-Simon Laplace. Yeah, simply either way it's French la plus, but definitely even if it were that person, definitely as in la plus, as in that the place, as in the seat, because of course you can ride on Lapras. You can ride on Lapras by sitting on its back. Yeah, let's choose the best one. We have actually some really close ones, like this one already is quite good, but we have these which are the absolute best. This one is technically potentially bigger, but I wonder if it will count that small part of the Lapras in the background, so I'll actually try this one. And so we actually have to go back for the other Pokemon. Yeah, as you can see here, before we don't have any more. I'll actually choose these. First and foremost, even without choosing it, it says Kore wa nandaro, and then the rest of the sentence. first, well, the continuation. First and foremost, we have kore wa. Kore, again, this, wa, the topic particle. So as for this, nan, the ro, nan from nani, what, the interrogative pronoun. Again, nani on its own, all accented on the first syllable. Nan in combination with other words, like for example the copula. In this case, the copula not as in da, but it in its technically the volitional form, but actually daro in plain speech, the sho in polite speech is used with one of these two meanings. It seems, I think, I guess, I wonder, I hope. So, the conjectural form of the copula, or as right, don't you agree? I thought you'd say that. So simply, as in we actually, the first case, it's a conjectural form, so we aren't sure about it. About about it being that way, being that the case, and so on. In the second case, we actually know, or are at least pretty sure that's the case, and we are simply asking for confirmation. Technically, there are different accents according to that, but it's complex. It depends, it changes depending on the previous verb, on the previous word, if it's accented or not. It affects also, but yeah, we'll simply ignore it for now. On its own, the ro would technically be accented on the ro. Ro, u, so long o, the ro. The sho, same, but on the sho. But yeah, in this case, it's actually the conjectural form, I'd say, as it says, as for this, I wonder what it is. And then it says, Kininaru kedo. Kininaru is an expression from, first and foremost, we have ki, the usual as in spirit, mind, on the extended meanings, unaccented on its own. Then the particle ni, in this case required, I'd say, by naru, because this naru most likely is the one which means to become, so to become into technically. But in this expression, I can't find the accent of it on the dictionary online. I doubt also in the physical dictionary, but I'll quickly search it. Let's see. No, it isn't present. Simply, I'd say, considering that it should be that naru, simply kini naru, so accent on the na. But yeah, the meaning is it becomes literally it becomes or I should say in this case, even though it's not literal, it comes to mind, but actually the sense is as in some to weigh on one's mind, to bother one, to worry about, to be concerned about, to care about, to feel uneasy, to be anxious, or simply to be interested in, to be curious about, to wonder about, to catch one's eye. Also, there's another way to use it, but we'll ignore it for now. The one that interests us in this case is to be curious about, to be interested in, to wonder about. And then we have Kedo again, but, and then suspension dots. So it's actually one of the uses of Kedo, and as we see also of the similar ga used as a conjunction, which also can mean but, however, and so on, where we stop there the sentence, we leave this suspension, and so we imply that there's something that we could say, but we'll avoid to say to not be rude. But yeah, it's implied. I'm curious about it, but implied I can't accept it, and yeah, or won't accept such photos. And yeah, here it says you also see the question mark for the Shuyaku. He says un, first and foremost. Notice that there's the lengthening of the vowel. In this case, by the way, with also that tilde, and so as if it were with this undulating pitch. So in this case, I'd say it's the meaning well. So yeah, this kind of expression. So and then he says Yoku wakanai ya. Yoku. In this case, simply it's the adverbial form of yoi. We simply drop the e and add the ku instead to make the actual adverb. So nicely, properly, well, skillfully also. Yeah, in this case, well. And then we have wakanai, which comes from wakaranai, from wakaru, which means should be accented. We'll see. Yes, it is. To understand, to comprehend, to grasp, to see, to get, to follow. Also to become clear, to be known, to be discovered, to be realized, to be found out, to make sense. And so, also as an exclamation, I know, I think so too. Technically, as we see, it's the intransitive form of the verb wakeru, also written with the same kanji. Wakeru means to divide into, to be split into, to part, to separate, and so on. So technically, this would be to be divided, to be split into, and so on. But by extension, if something is divided, split into, is separated, it's worth mentioning that wakeru also can mean by extension to classify. And yet to be classified became by extension to be, to understand, to comprehend, as in to become clear, to be known, to be discovered. And yeah, that's why it's used as the verb to understand. In this case, it's it's a U verb godan verb, so we could change the U into A to make the irrealis form, the unreal form, in modern Japanese usually used more often than not simply for, also for other things, but the most common use is for the negative form. Of course, because if something hasn't happened yet, it's not realized, it's not real. And then we had nai, which is what is required after that base of the verb to make the negative form in plain speech. Nai, as usual, is the adjective, which means to not be, as in non-existent, not being there. In this case, then it's contracted, that becomes wakaranai, becomes wakanai, at the doubling of the n of nai instead of that of the ra. And then we have again this ya at the end, which again I guess is simply an o or a h, what. Last but not least, with the A or B button, we have then the particle de, with, and then the verb modoru, again to return. And so yeah, the translation is I don't understand, it's not clear. I don't understand well. Return with A or B, so yeah, we can't choose it. Okay. Quickly see, then. Okay, we actually have to do it this way, since we don't have much time left. And we have to go through then the whole checking the pictures. We'll actually do that the next time. But first and foremost, we'll finish choosing at the very least the pictures. Next we have nyasu, meowth. Same as in English, but of course with nya, which is the onomatopoeia for the meow. Nya. I'm not sure if and by the way, if we, instead of the long vowel, we had an n at the end, we'd have another form of meow, but also used as a noun in children's language for a cat. The actual name of cats in Japanese is neko, accent on the first syllable. I'll quickly check if I can find the accent. Okay, let's see. Nya, if it's on the dictionary. Yeah, here with the doubling it's present with the doubling nya nya, and is accent on the first syllable, so yeah, perfect. And then that su, which most likely is simply the th sound in English. I think it's actually written as such in Japanese, because the Japanese names of Pokemon have a an official trademarked English transcription combine, and so yeah, I think that in that case of the mouth, quickly check, is actually on the th. Yeah, it's actually Njarth. So yes, with the th and also this R, literally as in A-R. But yeah, clearly from simply nya in Japanese. We try to get the best one. This one, I'd say. This one is bigger, but it's technically less in the center. Yeah, I'd say this one. Then let's continue. Yeah, we have only one for Ibui. Eevee. And actually, just like in English, it's simply E and as in the letter E. And then we have this Bu-E, which is another way to transcribe in Japanese the letter V. And so yeah, EV as in an abbreviation for evolution. We choose this one, we only have this one. Last but not least, we have this one for Kangaskhan, Garura in Japanese. Actually, check it on Bulbapedia. Okay, we should be now here. Okay. Yeah, first and foremost, of course, we have Garu, which is the easier part and clearest one. Garu from kangaroo. Same in Japanese, kangaroo, and the final part is written Garu with the long vowel. By the way, the accent is on actually kangaroo in English, but it's on the ga in Japanese, so kangaroo, kangaroo. And then we have this ra at the end, which, yeah, the safest guess is that it's an abbreviation with that combined also with the ru before it of rura. Here without the long vowel at the end. But yeah, rura, ruler in English. Of course, the L sound isn't in Japanese, so it becomes also R. Accented, luckily, on the first syllable as expected, so yeah. Ruler of the kangaroos. And yeah, we'll choose this one. And then we have this option. Well, we'll actually, since we don't have more time, we'll actually check these final options, and actually we'll go to show the pictures to Professor Oak next time. Because of that, I actually have to do a certain something, which I'll do off screen after the stream. I'll actually save state, even though, oh boy, then I will have to load it without, yeah, it will become more complex next time, so we'll actually start inside the game next time, or at least with the game open instead of opening from the start, because of course I'll actually have loaded the state. Yeah, for now, let's go here. And yeah, so today we've actually paid our first course, the beach. We went through it once. We have chosen the pictures, the photos we want to show Hawk, but we didn't have the time to do that. And technically, in the future, that will be quick, will be relatively fast. But of course, not the first time, since we'll have to see all the writings there. And so, yeah, we'll do that next time. Okay, so on Friday, unless plans change, we'll do that. And yeah, see you next time.